I'm about to give you 51 content ideas that you can use for your next hotel shoot. Now, this video is going to be primarily geared towards videographers, photographers, that kind of stuff. But if you're a hotel, an Airbnb, a resort, or you market for those, then feel free to steal these ideas as well, because I think they're going to be super, super valuable for you. Now, these are the exact ideas and concepts that I've actually sold to some of the top resorts in the world, such as Sandals, Hyatt, Four Seasons, and many others. But I've also used them to implement for smaller, more boutique resorts as well. So they actually work on both fronts. And if you start implementing these ideas for yourself and you sell them correctly, I'm totally confident that you can charge anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000 a month per client. So if you're a creator, I'd imagine you spend the vast majority of your time on two different things. One is how do you create better content? And two is how do you get clients that you can actually sell that content to? But I'd argue if you implement what I'm about to show you, you don't really have to worry about either of those, because the main reason that hotels hire you is not for the videos you create, but actually for the results that your videos get them. So if you can create videos that get great results for clients, then they're going to want to continue paying you over and over and over again because they have a recurring need for content. I mean, I've had some clients for over 3 years now, but on the flip side, if you just create videos and it doesn't get any actual results for a client, well, they're going to go hire someone else who can. So if we want to create videos that get results for clients, then we have to know what we're actually optimizing for. So in this video, I'm not going to so much cover the technicalities of like camera settings, angles, all that kind of stuff, because there's tons of YouTube videos about how to do that. I'm going to more so cover how to specifically create strategized content for hotels that optimize for each stage of the buying cycle, which I'm going to explain here in just a second, so that you can actually get results for clients, stay on retainer, get paid longer, and not have to sell as many clients because you're just getting paid month after month. So what you first have to understand is there's actually two main purposes of content. The first one is attention, which is just how many eyeballs can we get in front of, how many people can we make aware that this resort exists, and the second is conversion, which is how many of those people that know we exist will actually turn into paying guests. Now, a lot of people just focus on that first one, which is attention, but actually equally, if not more important, is that second piece of the equation, and that's why we're going to be talking about it last. Now, some videos are designed specifically to get mass appeal, to go viral, to get as many views as possible. So this can be things like ads or, organic social content that's designed to go viral. But the key here is that in order for these viral style videos to work and actually get the most attention, they have to optimize for a few things, which is creating intrigue and curiosity, and also creating shareability. Because when you create intrigue and curiosity and you actually make something shareable, people are going to be sending it to their friends, which means you're going to get a lot more views. But if you find yourself making ads or viral style content and after the first 2 or 3 seconds of the video, you're not intrigued to watch the rest of it, or you don't really care, then you have to actually restructure your hook and maybe even your first initial clips so that you're more intrigued and more curious about what the end of the video is. Because ultimately, that's all the game is about creating viral videos. Now, the other side of the equation is the conversion-based content. So this is stuff that is not really necessarily designed to go viral and get tons of views, but is more so designed to turn these people that are interested in the hotel into actual paying guests. So oftentimes you'll see this as web content or even brand building social content, which we'll get into here in just a sec. So just as a quick review, not every video has to go viral in order to be effective, but every video has to have a purpose and has to be designed to fulfill that purpose. Now, real quick, if you're a creator doing anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000 a month, but you'd love to scale to at least $10,000 to $20,000 a month shooting for resorts and brands, I'd love to show you how to not only get more clients, but also charge more per client and ultimately get them better results so they pay you again and again, so that you can create a sustainable living doing exactly what you love. So if that's remotely interesting to you, go ahead and click the link in the description below. We'll schedule a call with a member of my team and he'll walk you through our entire process of what we do to pitch, sell, land, charge, and ultimately build your content business to be able to work with some of the top hotel brands in the world. But now back to the video. Now I'm going to break down all these ideas into 3 main categories, or what I call content pillars. And the reason we do that is just so that content doesn't get boring and we're just posting the same thing over and over again, but also so that we can optimize for each piece of the conversion funnel. And if you're anything like me, you don't love coming up with a bunch of individual ideas. So I'm going to show you how to take one idea and split it into a minimum of 2 content pieces using 2 different frameworks, which is the stories and the lists. All right, so let's jump into the first pillar, which is we need to get attention, right? So let's just imagine that you're just a person that's wanting to book a trip to, for example, Cabo, right? Maybe it's a friend's trip, you want to book to Cabo. What is the first thing that you're going to do once you decide that that's where you want to go? Well, you're probably going to start researching the destination, things to do, hikes, sunset spots, restaurants, things to do in different neighborhoods, top attractions, all that kind of stuff is things that you're actively going to be searching for, whether it's Google, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, doesn't really matter. You're going to be searching for content around the destination. Now, the second thing that you're going to do is probably once you figure out what your itinerary of things you want to do is, you're going to figure out what hotel you'd like to stay at based on where the location is. So you'll probably look on Google Google, maybe booking.com, Airbnb, something like that, and then book a hotel that makes sense for the budget, the location, and amenities. Now, one other nuance to this is that sometimes people want to book staycations. So for example, you live in LA and you just want to go to Palm Springs, or you want to go to Malibu for the weekend. Even though you live there, you're probably still looking for things to do in Palm Springs, or the best beaches in Malibu, or the best local markets, or whatever, right? So in each of these occasions, it means that there is a lot of people looking for destination-based content, meaning that they are actively searching for things to do in the local area. So as a hotel, it's really important to be able to capture that attention, because people that book hotel rooms are people that are looking to travel to a certain location. So the best way to get in front of that traffic that's actively searching for things to do in the local area is just to create content that answers some of these common questions that people have. And you could do this through blog posts, you could do it through TikTok videos, Instagram, YouTube videos. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna walk you through the ideas. Okay, so remember just a bit ago when I said you can take one idea and turn it into a story video or a list video? Well, here's how that would actually look. So I'm gonna put some examples on the screen here. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but they're just some ideas that you can use for both story and list, and how you can take one idea and transform them into both. But I'll explain one specifically here. So let's say the concept is you're going to Cabo on a friend's trip and you're staying there for the weekend. So that's the concept of the destination piece. Now, if we wanted to create a story video out of that, we would make something like how I spent a long weekend in Cabo. And that could either be a vlog where you're talking direct to camera with some B-roll over top. It could be exclusively B-roll with, some voiceover in the background explaining what you did over the weekend, or it could potentially just not even have a voiceover at all and just be text explaining what's going on. In each of those occasions, you want to take somebody through a story, and it's going to be anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds long. Now, if we take that same concept of a weekend trip to Cabo with friends and we wanted to turn it into a list format, then we could do something like my full itinerary for a weekend in Cabo. And in this, you're not going to be so much telling a story, but it'll be more so like, for breakfast, I did this. For lunch, I did this. For sunset, I went to this spot. And you're kind of just listing off the things that you did. An alternative to that would be like 5 things you have to do on a weekend trip in Cabo, and then you can just list off the 5 things. Now, again, I'm putting some examples here on the screen, so you can just screenshot that if you'd like to, but it'll give you some ideas of how you can use destination to actually get in front of people. Now, the trick here is that you want to include the hotel in this destination-based content. So let's just say, for example, somebody's booking a special occasion. It could be a wedding, an elopement, a family reunion, some kind of friends trip. It doesn't really matter. We want to say like top things to do for your family reunion in Cabo, and one of them needs to be staying at the hotel, or top places to get married in Cabo. And it could be, different beaches, different parks, etc. But the number one place has to be the hotel, assuming that it's actually a good wedding venue, right? Cool. So that should give you a general overview of how to use destination-based content to hook a viewer, get attention, but also treat the hotel as the hero of the entire video. Now, once we have gotten that attention, maybe somebody is like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me check out the rest of their page. Now we have to position the hotel as the destination that somebody wants to go to. And the way we do that is by creating hotel-specific content. So instead of just creating random montage videos, which I see a lot of people do, or just like guessing why someone would want to stay there, what I like to do is actually have a conversation with the property and ask them like, what are the top 3 to 5 reasons that people actually book your resort versus, some of the other ones in the area? And sometimes the answer will be like reviews and pricing. That stuff I don't really care about unless I'm making like, best budget hotel in Cabo or something like that. I'm more focused on amenities, specific offerings. It could be location based. It could be that they have a celebrity chef, or they have a certain thing on their menu, or a unique experience at the hotel. But I want to know why people specifically booked that hotel so I can create a lot of content around it. So again, if we're creating story and list based content, then we can take the same idea and create 2 different concepts off of it. So if we're creating story based content, we could do something like POV, you're living in your Pinterest board. And then we put a compilation of some of the most aesthetic, Instagram worthy spots throughout the resort. And if somebody is actively saving that type of content to their Pinterest or to their Instagram account, they're going to be way more intrigued to watch the entire video, but also look at other videos on the account as well, which is obviously the goal. Now, if we were to take that same idea of like Instagram, Pinterest worthy spots and turn it into a list format, it can be something like, if your Pinterest board has XYZ, then you'll love this hotel. So that's a concept of how you can turn it into a list. Now, just as another example, let's say that one of the specific amenities that the hotel has is just this really vibey kind of bar or nightlife scene. And we can take that concept of the bar and turn it into both a story and a list format. So the story format could be something like, you'll never believe what this Cabo hotel has at their bar. You could even use the hotel name if you want to, but it would basically be a story of like going to the bar, looking at the menu, asking the bartender, you know, what you want, like that kind of stuff, basically making it a story. And then the final hero shot is like, oh my gosh, look at this crazy drink that I got. Now the list format of that could be something like the top 5 drinks to get at the Sheraton bar. So in this case, you'll probably count down from 5 all the way to 1 of the most aesthetic, coolest, or best tasting drinks. So again, I'll put up some examples here. Feel free to screenshot them if you want to. It's obviously not exhaustive as well. But the main point here is that you really have to figure out what those top 3 to 5 selling points are that really set this hotel apart from the rest of them, and then create content specifically around all of those things. Cool. So now that we've captured the attention of people looking to go to a certain destination, right? And they've gone to the page, whether it's an ad or viral Instagram content. And we've also educated them about some of the offerings that the hotel has, some of the things they can expect, and maybe even why it's better than some of the other options in the area. Now we have to turn that attention that we have into actual paying guests. And the best way to do that is through conversion-based content that basically answered all the FAQs, any concerns that somebody has, and ultimately turns them into a paying guest. Now, conversion-based content actually has 2 primary goals. A lot of people only focus on the first one, which makes sense. The first one is how do we get as many people that visit our website as possible to actually book with us? Obviously, the higher the conversion rate there, the better, and great content leads to conversions. However, there's a second piece of the conversion funnel as well that I'm going to talk about, which is once they are on property, how do we get the people to increase their average order value or spend more on property through various different upsells? So let's talk about the first conversion factor, which is just getting people from the website to actually book. So some low-hanging fruit ways to do this is obviously quality room photos. If you don't have that, then that's definitely something that can easily increase your website conversion rate. Room walkthroughs, sometimes this isn't as important if it's more of a basic room, but if you're trying to sell king suites or luxury suites or of any kind, then having like a 360 video of the room can be really important to help upsell that room, because oftentimes those are a lot more expensive. Another thing that's kind of in the same vein of those room walkthroughs is resort walkthroughs. So oftentimes this is like a 45 to 60 second video that is kind of a highlight reel showing all the top things to do, top spaces for the resort. You could also do this as an FPV run through. I've seen some people start to do that recently. And where this is really killer is when you can give it as an asset for the resort sales team if they're selling weddings or maybe corporate events, something like that, where they can just show a quick 45-second video to whoever the client is, and it basically sells them on all the main areas of the resort that are super important for the client to know about in order to be able to, you know, make a decision to book. And the last thing is a hero video. So this can obviously be used as the main video that's on the hotel website. It can be used as ads. The sales team can also use it to promote bigger corporate events or, you know, whatever it might be. So all these content pieces really work in harmony to be able to increase the average conversion rate of the website, because the better you showcase your amenities, the better it looks, the more, you know, exciting the experience looks, then the more people are actually going to book. So that was the first area of conversion, which is how do we get people to actually show up to the resort? The second area of conversion is once these people are on property, how do we get them to spend more money by doing different upsells, right? So traditionally, the way that resorts would do this is people would have to talk to the concierge and they would book different excursions or activities for them. And that was their main way of being able to promote these upsells, in addition to maybe some brochures or just other stationery around the resort. But one of the most crucial ways to be able to do this is actually through video. So if a hotel's main upsells are things like excursions or spas or specialty restaurants or, you know, even classes or activities, then if people don't know those exist, the chances of them booking are basically zero. So how do we make sure that we know that those exist? Well, we have to create video content around each of these different activities. One of the best ways to do this is actually with in-room videos. So you've probably seen this yourself, is when you walk into your hotel room for the first time, oftentimes a TV is playing. Now, sometimes it'll just be a stationary slideshow or something like that, but imagine if there was a video there that showcased all the best activities that there are to do. Do you think that would probably entice somebody who walks into the room to maybe talk to the front desk or the concierge and say, hey, I saw you guys have this really awesome spa. I'd love to book a treatment. And then all of a sudden you just booked $100 or $200 spa treatment because you had that video there. Now, other places you can play it is potentially sometimes hotels have TVs in the elevators. Sometimes they have them in the lobby. Sometimes just, you know, throughout the resort. Basically anywhere where there's a monitor where you can play a video, it would be a perfect opportunity to be able to show these amenity showcase type videos so that you can ultimately increase the average order value. And even if guests are coming off a third-party booking platform like Expedia or Travelocity or something like that, where you have to pay out that expensive commission, at least you can can make back some of it off of your upsells on resorts. So now you know how to create content that optimizes for each piece of the buying cycle for resorts, but all this is just kind of useless unless you actually have clients to sell it to. So if you don't have the amount of clients that you want, make sure to watch this video here where I explain my entire process for pitching and landing your next resort client.